Welcome back. St. Lucia has lost one of its most illustrious sons, cultural icon Charles Cadet. He passed away on Sunday and has left an entire country in mourning. The life and legacy of the late, great Charles Cadet is being remembered and celebrated one day after his passing. His nearest and dearest spoke to Hot 7 about their fondest memories of Cadet and explained what made him the icon that he will forever be remembered as.
Cadet was the voice behind numerous popular songs including Poinsettia Blossoms and Banjo Man, which was a collaborative hit between him and Roderick Walcott, the brother of Sir Derek Walcott. Cadet was the receiver of a number of awards, including the Order of the British Empire in recognition of his work and the St. Lucia Cross. He was also the first recipient of the MNC Fine Arts Lifetime Achievement Award. On Monday, a few friends and family celebrated the life of the man who they said played a great role in shaping St. Lucian culture. One of those included Cadet's second cousin, Luther Fassois, who said, quote, Charles Cadet's skills as a composer, songwriter, and indeed as a singer placed an important responsibility on his shoulders. Over the years, he has become an anchor for the evolution of traditional St. Lucian musical influences, from village life all the way to the international stage of musical theatre products. His life's work in the musical field displays a sensitivity and sophistication no longer to be found in the modern-day exploitation of certain elements of St. Lucian folk music. And along with Joyce Auguste, Carlos Mins, and Frank Norville, he will forever remain an important figure in the history of St. Lucian arts and culture. End quote. The minister with responsibility for culture, as well as a few other icons, chimed in to say their piece as well.
The death of Charles Cadet is the loss of a musical treasure for St. Lucia. Charles was a consummate composer. The sophistication of his melodies for a musician who was not formally trained is something exceptional. I distinctly remember working on a version of I Doodoo for my folk CD, which included most of Charles Cadet's music. And I had Professor Roger Eckers from the US to do a flute solo on that song. And he sat in the studio with me and the tears rolled down his eyes. And I said to him, whatever happened? And he says to me, this song is so emotional. And he could not understand how is it that St. Lucian folk music was so sophisticated. And that was coming from a professor of music. That was the level at which Charles Cadet was able to compose. He was just brilliant. And losing him is more than a loss of just an individual. We've lost the core of music in St. Lucia. And I am honored to have had the opportunity to have worked with him and to work on his material with him. He will be forever missed.
Charles was a lovely man. Everyone who knew him loved him. His incredible contribution to this country, both in the civil service and his music, are tremendous. His passion for music permeated every core of his being. It was the dominant feature of his life. There was always a song on his lips. We've lost another legend. I had the opportunity to work with Charles a few years ago on a work commissioned by Pat Charles of CDF to document, score and record 5 musicals written by himself and Roddy Walcott, twin brother to Derek Walcott, for the CDF archives. More well-known ones include Banjo Man and Chasso Marianne, both were folk themed. The others, including Legend of Tom Fool, were more Broadway style. His incredible talent encompassed both genres with little to no effort. Being so intimately involved with his work, I developed a great, deep appreciation for our folk music, which influenced me to produce my Indigenously Yours CD, a contemporary twist on folk music.
On behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia, we really want to extend sincere condolences to the family of Honorable Charles Cadet. Charles, as you know, was a phenomenal St. Lucian. He contributed significantly to the development of our folk music. He also was a public servant extraordinaire who did some great work for us in trade. He also served as a permanent secretary as well during those years, the early years. Charles, we got a chance to engage Charles as Minister for Culture. I got a chance to engage him, and throughout the engagement, I think what I got most out of him was a continuous desire, to perfect the craft in every possible way. In 2015, he was honored, of course, as a national cultural icon. In fact, the first in the iconic personnel that we've recorded in our culture. Charles Cadet was the first St. Lucian to be awarded that title since 2015.
Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
According to the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, there have been no sudden changes to the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On Saturday, there were reports of a red glow coming from the summit of the volcano. The director of NEMO in St. Lucia says the change being seen is expected and does not spell immediate danger to St. Vincent or St. Lucia.
On Saturday night, there were reports of a red glow from the summit of the La Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. While Vincentian authorities continue to try to dispel rumors of an eruption, the National Emergency Management Organization in St. Lucia says there is still no reason for St. Lucians to fear. The director of NEMO in St. Lucia, Doreen Gustave, has given the assurances that St. Lucia is ready to step in and assist her sister isle in whichever way needed.
Ministry of Health has said that they stand ready to assist with continuity of education. We have on board the various agencies who are responsible for responding. On board, SLASPA, we have infrastructure, a number of agencies who come together to discuss, Ministry of Health, of course, to discuss how we're going to receive those persons who may need to come to St. Lucia. From our end at NEMO, we have identified the shelters. We have gone in, taking into consideration social distancing. We have measured to determine the number of persons each shelter can hold.
She says not much has changed except for the fact that the dome has now begun glowing.
There has not been much change, but from the information that we're getting, there is visible incandescent, which means there is a glowing at the site, and that was expected. Based on the scientists, they're saying that as the dome continues to grow, which is happening, there will be a glowing, and that is happening right now. So, indeed, they are monitoring the activities at the volcano in St. Vincent.
Gustave says she is aware that many believe that due to St. Lucia's close proximity to St. Vincent, that we should be preparing for the worst. Gustave says while we may not be adversely affected if the volcano erupts, the island is still prepared.
We may have ash fall, depending on the direction of the wind and how severe it is. So we are preparing for that. But in our own situation in St. Lucia, we know, like we said, we are a seismic country. We have in place what happened a few years ago. St. Lucia conducted a risk profile of the island to determine all risk that we may be impacted, all hazards, that we may be impacted by. And so out of that risk profile, plans and protocols were put in place to respond to any hazard that we may be met with. And so we have in place all of these protocols.
She says NEMO is on the ball and all seismic activities pertaining to St. Lucia are being monitored. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzaga.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines recorded its second COVID-19 death on Monday. The deceased is an 80-year-old male who was admitted to hospital on Friday. NEMO SVG disclosed in a press statement that the elderly gentleman tested positive for COVID-19 during the routine screening conducted on all admissions. The patient, who was managed on the COVID-19 isolation ward, became unstable and died at about 4:30 a.m. on the 18th of January. The death followed the first COVID-19 death on Friday, the 15th of January, that of a 49-year-old female with multiple pre-existing conditions. Nemo SVG said that the woman presented to the hospital the previous evening with difficulty breathing. She was confirmed to be positive for COVID-19 on admission, rapidly deteriorated, and died at 5 p.m. on Friday. On Sunday, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves extended condolences to the family of the woman, whom he identified as Justina Pompey. In other news, the National Skills Development Center for the first time is offering courses in boating operations and outboard engine repairs. The PRO of the NSDC says the organization prides itself on helping students find niche markets that are not oversaturated. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
The National Skills Development Center has added boating operations and outboard engine repairs to the courses that can be studied at the institution. Public Relations Officer of the NSDC, Dane Jules, explained that this course is the first of its kind at the center, and the response from the youth have been very forthcoming.
We can definitely see these are niche markets because we don't have many persons, even on island, who actually who can qualify or who are able to repair boats, etc. And even also for boating operations, these are two areas that we don't have many persons or schools on the island who are actually offering those courses. Definitely we have quite a large scale of young men who are actually heavily interested in those courses. So we're really happy that where our young people are concerned, the young men have really stepped out and we're really able to make a very huge impact on their lives.
One of the few female students taking part in this course, Zoya Popo, explained why she chose to study such a subject, given that it is usually seen as male-dominated.
I am usually on water because as a dive master, I'm always underwater. So I figured this would be a good field to go into, being underwater, because I figured being a dive master isn't just going to cut it out underwater. I myself have to learn how to navigate a boat and handle a boat if an emergency situation arises underwater where the captain is unable to do anything. Then I myself can take over and help out and get us to safety if needs be.
The PRO says the courses have captured the attention of many and will be offered again. Jules says the course may last up to 4 months depending on the level of hands-on practice needed by students. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Stay with us. There's more news coming up after the break.